guess the news did drop today, and maybe some people would say it's the worst kept secret around, but we can go to deeper on this. I mean, how legit of a battle do you believe it was?
The one thing I do walk away with, and me and Matty Ice were talking about this, I think it was last week, we think Ryan Day should write a quarterback battle book because he's gone through, I think in the past 10 years, probably some of the most competitive battles, and for him to claim that this battle is the most like the Joe Burrow, Dwayne Haskins battle, I believe it, because Lincoln is the South Dakota Heisman. You talk about a great athlete. You talk about Joe not getting that job and how Joe's career turned out. I'm not saying Lincoln is going anywhere, but Ryan Day, he knows quarterback. But he didn't say this was a Kyle McCord, C.J. Stroud battle. This wasn't a Will Howard, Devin Brown battle. This was a Joe Burrow, Dwayne Haskins battle. So I believe the talent level for both of these guys is up there, and we'll be okay this season.
Yeah, so Matty and I have debated this, and I had a theory several months ago that I wonder if they were battling with not only both of these guys somewhat deserving to lead this team and be the starter. And I said to Matty that I wonder if Ryan Day and Brian Hartline got together and said, you know what, I think we may be able to win the Texas game more with this guy, but we feel like the ceiling of this team needs to be with this guy. And if the ceiling of this team is with this guy, then he has to experience this game. You cannot, you have to go all in then, like they have with Julian, because I think Lincoln does give them an element a little bit, maybe a little bit more than maybe they have with Julian, maybe with the wheels. But he says he's got to get both guys ready. They're both going to be ready. I mean,
now, when you say wheels, are you saying a
little more mobile,
vertical explosion? Or are you saying mobility, like Patrick
mobility. He's a little
Mahomes
bigger.
Or Lamar?
He's always been a guy. Ryan has always been a guy. If I need a yard, can my quarterback get it for me? And I'm not saying Julian can't. It just feels like Lincoln's a little bigger and maybe has a little more ability in that. So that was my thinking that, wow, what if the higher floor was Lincoln for game one, but Julian is like this higher ceiling guy that he needs to have him in this game. Good, bad, or ugly, and here we go.
I'm excited because we're so used to prototypes being thrown at us, right? Like, you would just say, 6'3", 215, he's the guy. Like, in traditionally early 2000s and 90s, that size would just win it alone. But I have to see what this guy Julian has in the tank for a quarterback guru to say, hey, I'm going to go with the shorter, less athletic guy.
A little smaller, more of a pocket guy.
He has to have a special arm, and I'm excited to see that.
That's the thing that's jumped out to me is time and time again from either Coach Day, former players that were around last year, or people that have been around the team is when it comes to Julian, special arm talent has popped up. That phrase has popped up time and time again. And AR and I were talking over the last few months and over the last couple of weeks, my mind has gone to what are the strengths of the team outside of the quarterback? And we know it's the pass catchers that you have on the outside and the best pass catcher in the country in Jeremiah Smith. So when you have that, I think you want to cater to the strengths of your offense. Not to say that if Lincoln was under center, he couldn't do the same things that Julian can do, but maybe there's a little bit of a higher ceiling with Cardell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Max Clare, and now Julian Sayin under center. We know the recruiting stuff was there with him going to Alabama. Obviously, Nick Saban saw something in him, which is a great feather to have in your cap.
So did Bryce Young a little bit.
So there's some of that as well. And you mentioned Bryce Young. I know that's something that Bo has brought up a lot, is that he sees a little bit of Bryce Young in Julian Sayin. I'm going back to where I was last year before I knew what Will Howard was, is that no matter who the guy was, no matter who you are at Ohio State, when you're under center, there's only so much you're going to have to do week in and week out as far as just being, just stay down the middle of the fairway. You don't have to put the cape on. Will did an awesome job of doing that last year. I remember you and I played a clip on the show where he said, I know I don't have to be a superhero. If Julian can come into the Texas game and the games after that with that type of mindset, I think he's going to be okay.
He grew into it, though. Will Howard grew in. He was a leader. He's already very experienced. That's the big difference, is now you got a guy that hasn't started. We knew that Will – it was a matter of could Will take the K-State game to the Ohio State time. And that was a long developed process because you think about, icing of the game with a third down and having the confidence to do that in the championship. But I go back to, Julian, and I don't believe this guy doesn't have to be overnight the greatest quarterback that ever played at Ohio State. In fact, if you go back to the spring game, if you just want to use that as an example, It was the routine play routinely. It was a bubble screen to CJ. It was a kind of a precision play action to Mylan Graham. It was down the middle to Max. We didn't see a lot in the spring game where he was just airing it out and like, let's see this arm on showcased. So if you go back to the spring game and you see the differences, Depot, is that Julian being, and he's not short, but he is shorter than Lincoln, he does have to find passing lanes a little differently when he's in the pocket. Because I remember in the spring game, he had a ball or two tipped, and it was like, okay, he's got to learn how to slide a little bit and find those areas. So Julian does not have to be a star overnight. They're hoping he develops certainly into one.
Yeah, and I think, with the strength of the offensive line could come into play, because I think that offensive line will be in good hands and good in front of him. And so when you have that and a young quarterback can go into each game and know, hey, I'm not going to have a whole bunch of static in front of my face, I think that can breathe confidence into a young quarterback as well. So those are two things now for me that we know who the quarterback is going to be. Week one is what type of push up front will they have, and also what type of balance will they have on offense with the new running backs that they have behind Julian, because those dudes last year, Travion, Quinshawn, I thought were awesome and real threats every single down of every single game. So when you have that combined with what they have on the outside, I just think they could put stress on defenses at every level of the field, and be interesting to see if they can recreate that this year.
But the performances that I'm just seeing from Travion in preseason, Matty, AR, I think we might have just lost a generational back, man. I mean, he is really special, and I don't know if we really got to appreciate Travion because he battled so many injuries, and we got to see him freshman year and a great senior year, but the junior and sophomore year were tough. But replacing him and Quinshawn, man, I just think that's going to be harder than replacing Will.
I'm not trying to say that they need to get to that level. I'm just saying if there's a respectable punch there from the running backs, I think that could help out the quarterback. Because what you're saying is real. Quinshawn in the SEC was a monster. Travion, to your point, when he was out there, was electric as well.
It's a huge part of it. Yeah. I think if we learned anything from last year, and this isn't last year's team, but the blueprint can be the same in that I know the cliche is always – be playing your best in November and beyond. But look at what it took. Look at the partial disappointments. Look at the Oregon loss by a second on the road. Look at the going through injuries at Penn State, hostile environment. This team is going to deserve its chance to write its own story, whatever that's going to be. If they beat Texas, okay, the weight of the world's on them for the rest of the season because they vault to number one, and now all of a sudden it's repeat, and it's on. And the expectations are always going to be there. But I think it jumps up times 10 if they open up with a victory. If they don't, and they play well and lose, now it's okay. Now they have to find themselves in their own identity and try to get back into it because they've got some tough games this year. And I remember when we ran the poll about what this season is about for people? So we ran this poll, Matty, for about a week, and the results are in, sir. So I asked this question, what is this Buckeye season more about to you, to the fan? And your choices were repeating as champs or ending the streak to Michigan. And it's 63% ending the streak. And it's not that they don't want to win it again. They do want to win it all again. I just feel, as my friend at Ohio State, nameless, no gong, but nameless, says it feels unnatural to pick the Michigan one. It feels unnatural to not say win it all. But he said to me, quote, over there, it's become a thing. And when you have 4 in a row, it's become a thing. And so they got to get that thing, that monster, put away, and then obviously go win it all if you can. But it's funny, the 63% that voted said for them, it's more about ending the streak this year than it is repeating. Man. As a fan.
Yeah, I think having a national championship has helped that. And then this this ruling that came down last Friday kind of peeled back some of the same feelings. Like I just reflected on it's this joke in my house because my mother-in-law, she went to Michigan, right? And her dad went to Michigan, and my wife's from Michigan, but she's a Buckeye. And so the night that they won in 2023, I was so mad that, like, everybody, we joke about it because I said, can you please turn off the celebration? And she's like, it's like, I just want to. So she kept it on to just see at how mad I would get. She was like, I really didn't want to, but you seem really mad. So I was seeing how mad you would get. I was so mad. I took a melatonin and went to sleep. I couldn't take it. And so.
You mean an elatonin?
Yes. Okay. So exactly. Yeah. So you think about, for me, it's hard to not say I don't want to win a national championship. But this year,
it's correct in that role.
I'm not saying I wouldn't take another natty, but I need that natty with some beat Michigan on top.
Every team that comes in now gets to be the team that flips the script.
Exactly.
They can be the ones now to change the momentum.
Yep.
And then what comes after it is up to them and what they can be. But
were we this bad when we were going 10 in a row? How they're acting? Like I don't know, because I came to Ohio State like after like 4-0. Like it was like 6. So it was just like, were we this bad? How they act?
Probably.
We were not.
I have to imagine.
We probably were.
Yeah, both. You got it.
Some of them came as such just complete shockers, like in the 90s. Those were just ones that kind of came against unbelievable teams that you didn't see coming.
Yep.
And so the ones before, I mean, obviously the Stallions there's a lot there. And then the last couple seemed to be like they were just set up to just pound them, and it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going anymore to intangibles. It's going to be in-game coaching. It's going to be strategy.
Absolutely.
And that's how it's going to get done and get flipped. So.